Things I Never Told My Doctor, Part 2 by John P. Gallagher. Chapter 2. When I got out of the hospital, we had moved across the street to live in the Bluebird Inn in an apartment above the bar. Our family dog, Rags, got his throat cut by a woodchuck. He could still walk around, but was very tired and couldn't get up the stairs. The kids from the family downstairs were saying that Rags got his throat cut by this crazy man who lived in the woods. Rags seemed to be back to normal a few weeks later without even any scars. I wonder now if the dog was a replacement, same breed and age to make the kids happy. Once, Charlie went in the woods with me. He said we had to be careful because there was this crazy guy running around here with an axe. Charlie told me to wait in the woods as he ran off. I was thinking I was going to get killed. After a while, I ran through the woods towards home. I got lost and the brush got thick. I saw signs on the trees saying, "No trespassing." I saw these guys in camouflage with guns. I turned around and ran in the other direction until I found the path back out of the woods. Dad took me to see some horses practice racing at the track. We were walking along and Dad grabbed me to stop me from walking in front of a horse that was going past quickly. The horse had on blinders. At first I was mad at Dad, but kept it to myself. Later I told Mom. She explained to me that I had to realize sometimes Dad knew better. She said, if he hadn't stopped you, you would have been run over. I agreed. I was due for a review by Mother Superior, so I went to her office. We discussed my progress in school, where I was doing very well. I told her I had difficulty remembering people's names. We discussed how I felt about these things in life, in my family, and friendships. She concluded our talk with, "You are a child of God." Mom told me to go outside with the Monopoly board. Even though we had moved all the way to Pennsylvania, my friend Patty from Glencoe, Illinois, came to visit me. Patty brought her cousin with her. We played Monopoly for a while, and then Patty told her cousin that I did not seem to be interested in her, that I did not seem to have feelings for her. Her cousin said to give it time. We decided to go swimming in the pond in the woods. We went but did not swim. We just got in the water. We were afraid of the holes in the pond that we did not want to fall into. Patty still seemed to feel the same way about me. After Patty left, Mom said, "You can't marry your cousin." That was her way of saying, I get along with my cousin, but should marry Patty. My brother started sayings that we all would say. Our favorite sayings were, "It wasn't me," or "I didn't do it," or "I didn't mean it." My oldest brother, Mark, had difficulty saying my sister's name, so he shortened her name from Marianne to May. My dad's favorite saying was at the dinner table, "Eat all your food before it gets cold." We moved to what's called Snowden Road. When it snowed heavily, we found out what that meant. We were snowed in. We got to know the neighbors closely since there were a few people around for miles. They had these activities they liked to do for fun. One activity was to get an old purse and fill it with horse manure and set it on the side of the road. I convinced them we should put a spring in the bottom, so we did. We hid in a lookout on the cliff and watched passers-by. We would laugh when they would stop and look in the purse. The first person was a lady who picked up the purse, looked in, and then threw it back on the ground. A few minutes later, another car stopped. It was a couple of high school-age guys with their girls. They all piled out of the car and looked. They heard us laughing, so they figured they had to do something about that. They started up the cliff, and we climbed further up and ran off. This other activity they had was to go see the Green Man. They said they saw him around the railroad tracks. We all wanted to look at him. We all headed down to the area where he had been seen. On the way there, they told me the story. Years ago, there was this guy living under the railroad tracks who would cook canned goods. One day, some townspeople decided to hang him because he was suspected of a crime. They put him in the flatbed of a truck, put the noose around his neck, and drove off. He hung. They came back daybreak, and he was not there. A rumor started that someone who was green had a fire around the railroad track tunnels. We were going to see if he was there. When we got there, we went under the tunnel. There were some ashes and empty cans where there had been a campfire. We figured somebody was there recently. We started to leave. Then we saw someone coming up over the hill from the other side of the railroad tracks. Everybody screamed. I saw this guy with a hideous green face and raggedy clothes. We started running home. Myrn, the oldest of the girls, could not handle it. She fell to the ground and could not get up. We tried to get her up. The green man was catching up to us. We could not get Myrn up. Then the green man was right in front of us. He pulled the mask off, and it was our neighbor Eddie from up the hill. It was all a prank. Later they told me that the story about the green man was in the newspaper years ago. There actually had been a green man. There was another tape my brothers Charlie and Patrick were into involving juvenile delinquency. They wanted to steal coins from the neighbors. They wanted me to come with them. I told them we should not be doing that. They forced me to come, so I went with them. They showed me how the neighbors had a garage door that was open and people could just walk in. We went in. Then Mary, from next door, came in and asked what we were doing. My brothers told her. They said she would not do anything. We went to their bedroom and they showed me that they had a fishbowl full of $half pieces. They said not to get our fingerprints on the bowl. We took a few coins and then left. Before we got to our house, we saw Mary's brother Eddie. He told us we could not go home because the police were going to be looking for us. They added that we needed to go far away from it for a while until things cooled off. We raced through the woods because we thought the police were going to come after us. After an hour, we went home. My mother was wondering why we were so late for dinner. There was no mention of what happened. Mom got a recipe from a neighbor that she put into major production. It was for bread made from scratch. It had a variation which was cinnamon bread. When I was at school, Dale, a friend, showed me the cinnamon bread his mom made. I showed him my sandwich bread made from scratch and told him that my mom knew how to make the cinnamon bread too. It seemed to be a recipe shared by the women. I noticed that my mom and Dale's mom would talk about doing the laundry at the laundromat. One time at the laundromat, we went to the owner's house in the back to get change. The owner invited us in and showed us a picture of her husband who hunted. He got a bear and a couple of deer. The picture showed them strung up in front of the laundromat. She was cooking the bear meat and gave me a taste. I looked back and think it was like gyro meat. We eventually moved from the countryside to downtown. Mom liked the location since we were next to a laundromat. Chapter 3. Our family moved back to Chicago on Sheffield Avenue. For the first year, there I got out of school at the same time as brothers Patrick and Charlie. We were in grade school. Patrick and Charlie, who were in a grade higher than mine, but at the same school. I was able to get a paper route where my brothers already had jobs. My pay helped pay for my clothes and let me go to a movie on most Saturdays with my best friend Vincent. I hung out with him for 3 years. Sometimes I did not go out with Vincent. I would go out with my sister, Mary Ann. Sometimes she would go shopping for clothes instead of going to a movie. The next school year, I went to the same school, but my brothers now went to high school, which was quite a distance away. Charlie and Patrick were in the same grade since Patrick had flunked kindergarten. Some of the family thought Patrick's flunk might have been planned. It probably was better for them since they always hung out together. Then I got home there before anybody else did. I also had an additional job being the superintendent of the apartment building we lived in and another one down the street. I got a hamster for Christmas from my sister. I started to feel as though I was not making enough money for the hamster litter and food. I named my hamster Hammy. The Cajun care of my Hammy was adding stress since it was nocturnal and would run on its wheel all night. The cage was on my dresser in the bedroom I shared with my brother Charlie. We did not have a door to our bedroom. There was a large open archway connecting our bedroom to the living room. Mom put up curtains over the archway to give us some privacy. My parents' bedroom was on the other side of the living room. They had a door to their bedroom. I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to make the nightly hamster activity less noisy, since everybody could hear the metal wheel banging into the side of the metal cage. I was sleeping less. I thought we all were. I started smoking cigarettes since many of the family smoked. I could buy cigarettes without a problem. I started drinking alcohol too, usually wine. There were a lot of people hanging around on the street corners drinking from small bottles of wine in brown paper bags. Marianne would sometimes hang around with some of the girls from my school. I got into the habit of shoplifting. It was not long till I was caught. They brought me home to my parents, and the store manager asked for everything I had stolen. I was really embarrassed. That was the last time I did that. On our last day of elementary school, all the graduates were given a blue and white ribbon to pin to our pants. Vincent told me that your friends sign it, and the girl who signs at the top, above all signatures, is yours for the summer. The girl who I thought was unattainable by me, Anna, came out of school last. Vince and I were sitting outside saying goodbye to everybody. Anna came up to us, and asked me if she could sign my ribbon. She signed at the top. I think she was one of the pizzeria family where my brother Patrick worked. I never saw Anna again, so I was not sure how she may have felt. I thought she was going with this guy, Jesus. I'm not sure what Vincent told me was true anyway.